Welcome back to Carolina Connection. We're coming to you from UNC's Botanical Garden. Here, you can participate in gardening lessons and even earn certificates in native plant studies.
Our last story is about Charlotte's Trail of History. It runs right through the center of uptown Charlotte. Take a look.
The Trail of History idea came from Dr. Tony Zeiss. It's largely his vision that said we need to uncap the Little Sugar Creek. We need to turn it into an asset, a central place that people will come together. Sugar Creek is one of the oldest areas of settlement in Charlotte. The name sugar is not because of the white stuff you put in your coffee. It's an old Catawba Indian word that may mean something like gathering place. And so long ago, before Europeans and Africans and everybody else got here, this was a place that people came together. The idea of the Greenway and the Trail of History statues reinvigorate that historic notion that people will come together along this creek so close to uptown Charlotte. The first statue on the Trail of History was Captain James Jack. It's called the Spirit of Mecklenburg officially. James Jack was a local tavern keeper, local community leader, and he volunteered to take the whatever it was up to Philadelphia, where Thomas Jefferson and other folks were working on what would become the 1776 Declaration. My favorite sculpture is right on the grounds of the Thompson Orphanage, largely forgotten, but there was an orphanage farm for kids who needed parents. A group of statues, and it is the minister who led the orphanage and some of the young kids, and they're getting ready to dip their toes in the creek. In fact, they don't have their shoes on. Thad Tate was one of the biggest community leaders here in the African American community. Major builder of community institutions, helped found what's now Grace AME Zion Church, and helped build businesses, including a building that still stands on Brevard Street called the Mecklenburg Investment Company. James B. Duke was originally from Durham, made his fortune, one of the richest people in the world in the early 20th century. But late in life, he put up money for the Duke Endowment, which is still around. It funds hospitals, it funds educational institutions, including Davidson and Johnson C. Smith here in Charlotte. Jane Wilkes was a visionary. She had this notion in the mid-19th century that if you put sick people all together in one building called a hospital, they'd get better. After the Civil War, about 1877, she raised money throughout this community to fund St. Peter's Hospital. Building still stands downtown, and that eventually became what's now Atrium Healthcare. Thomas Spratt, one of the European settlers, and King Hagler, who was the chief of the Catawba Indians, were partners at a time when there was huge tension between settlers and native people, and they figured out how to work together and coexist. Philip Van Avery's statue stands for all of the industrialists here, people who have created factories that made things, and Lance made peanut butter crackers. The women folk in the Lance family said, what if you made peanut butter, spread it on crackers, and you could sell it in the textile mills? And Philip Lance Van Avery is a descendant of the original founders of that company, and in the 1950s was elected Charlotte's mayor. The Vietnam Memorial is older than the Trail of History. When the Trail of History ran through right adjacent to that, there was a walkway that connects the Trail of History down in Sugar Creek with the Vietnam Veterans Memorial up above, and some information there that encourages people who are walking along the Greenway to go up and see that memorial to our veterans. I really love in a beautiful day in Charlotte to get on my bicycle and ride down the Trail of History. The trees are now embracing those statues, and it's becoming, once again, that gathering place that it was back when the native people were here long, long, long ago.
Wow, now that looks educational and like a great place to get some exercise on a nice day.
To check it out for yourself, visit the website below.